This is the second of the 3 Warrior Workout Foundation event videos. And in these, I'm describing for you some of the very impactful moments in my life that really changed everything. And it is part of what created this program. It's part of what created me. And I want to share them with you because I also am sure while you may not be experiencing the specifics of what I'm describing for you, you are experiencing events enough that you're feeling what I was feeling. And I'm hoping that in some way that this helps you through these into a path of hope, a path of ability to kind of take over the reins of your life, start making some changes that you want. So this video is about the second impactful moment. It actually is a series of impactful moments, so bear with me here, because it reaches what I would say would be the lowest point of my life, and it's that moment that I wanted to describe for you. But I need to give you a little bit of quick background. When I graduated from high school, I was woefully unprepared for life, both in maturity level, understanding what life was about, what it was going to expect of me. I had no self-confidence. I had very poor self-esteem. It was basically meant to be a train wreck is what it was. It's destined to be at that point, looking back. But I was doing what you do after high school as you go into college. Actually, I was studying to be a priest at first. So fast forward into my sophomore year, patterns that I had had all through my life at that point were still repeating themselves. I was finding myself bullied constantly. I was finding academically, I was getting D's and F's, and I was lucky if I could get a C. I was struggling with everything, and I still hadn't felt like I'd experienced anything. I was very unhappy. I realized that this was, as much as I felt I had a calling, I realized that this was not the path that I should be on. But I couldn't tear myself away from it because I was trying to prove to myself that I'm not a quitter. And it culminated in my sophomore year with just right before Christmas, with the depths of a depression that just ripped into me, and I just was miserable. I felt completely cut off. I felt completely alone. I felt completely rejected. It was a very dark space, and in that space, I tried to commit suicide. And realized almost immediately afterwards that it wasn't that I wanted to die, but that I just didn't want to live the way I was anymore. And so I was able to cobble together fixing myself up so that it ultimately didn't result in my death. But the impact was such that I was immediately kicked out of school. So now I had nowhere to go. I had lost everything. And all I could think about was to basically try to pick up the pieces and start back with what I knew. So I headed back to the town which I grew up in and got the job back that I had had back in high school. Now keep in mind, this is still not the lowest point. I tried to speak with a couple, I tried to speak with a counselor to try to heal things. And I went I went every week like I was supposed to, but also I stopped when he had a very important thing to share with me. And that was, he goes, ultimately it's going to be you that heals yourself, not me. And I thought, that's an important point there. Still wasn't able to act on it. Still didn't have quite the energy to try to figure it out, but at least I knew, okay, then I need to start thinking about these kind of things. But I found myself at a place where I was basically at square one. I was working the same job I had in high school. Nothing had worked in my life. I felt like a complete failure. Only thing different was it's about 4 to 5 years on. And the next momentous moment changed everything, despite what I'd been told, despite all the other events, I was still not changing. I still was angry. I still was depressed. I still was messing up everywhere. It was, looking back, it was an extremely painful period of my life. But one winter morning, I'm outside and I'm unloading a truck. And it's pouring down sleet, and it is just miserable out there. And I remember coming out of that truck with a load, and just about, it hit me. It finally hit me. It was this moment of realizing that, of recognizing all the crap that had gone on in my life up to that point. I was able to recognize my role in that. And this realization that I'm simply not going to take it anymore. And more importantly, I was going to do something about it. I finally realized, after all those events, it was in that moment that I realized that the ability to change my life and to move in the direction that I wanted was going to be up to me. It took 20-something years to get there. But that was the moment that I realized I had the work to do. And I also realized that I really, truly, deeply wanted that change. I was completely fed up with myself and my life. Not to the degree that I was describing earlier, to where it was going to lead to suicide, but to where it felt movement toward doing something to change. And I knew I had to do it in a radical way. So I undertook, that was the beginning of a 2-decade-long experience of putting myself through the most harshest challenges that I could think of at the time. Each one designed to go into what I was most fearful of and what I most hated to experience, knowing that in making myself go through those events, that I was going to reach some intrinsic value of myself. I was going to basically, I realized I had to train self-confidence. I had to train inner strength. I had to train discipline. I had to train these things. These things were not just going to automatically happen, no matter how much I wished it. I had to do the things that generated those things. So that moment at that truck, at that job, with the sleet and the cold and the misery, realizing that I still didn't have a college degree, all of that. That was a moment where I realized my life was mine, and my life was mine to change. And I decided then and there that, by God, I was going to do just that very thing. So that was the second material moment that created the Warrior Workout Program. Realization that this is up to you. You are going to have mentors that are going to help lead you. You're going to have peers that are going to help assist you, as well as provide challenges for you, competition. There's going to be books that you read, movies that you see. This is not about doing this alone. But at the end of the day, you have to do this work. So what I would love for you to think about is, have you had that moment? Not that it has to be that severe, but have you had that moment of realization that your life is up to you? We can all sit there and run through a laundry list of all the things that have gone wrong in our life, and how all these people have disappointed us, and how we didn't get this, and this person failed us, and all of that. It doesn't matter. What matters is, have you realized that if you want to change, it's up to you to make it. It's up to you to seek out the advice, the education, the training that you need to make your life better. It's up to you to do the work. It's up to you to put in the work ethic and the effort to make it happen. Stop half-assing everything. It's up to you to see it successfully concluded, to stick with it long enough that you get the results that you want. It's up to you to also share it with others in the hopes of motivating them and being an example for them to realize that no matter all the things that have gone on in your life, there is other possibilities. There is hope. So I hope that you have not had to have such a deep valley, such a deep negative experience in your life to come to that conclusion. For me, I had to have that. I had to have that kick in the head to realize this. You don't have to have those moments. You probably have, though. But I hope you have, through this video, can see that there is something better on the other side, but it's going to be up to you to grab it. It's going to be up to you to do the work. It can be done.